Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of The Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Joining me as he does every other Friday, Tom Walls from the Firearms Academy of Seattle. Tom, thanks for coming along on today's Training Friday edition of the show, man.
Training Friday. Always a pleasure, Paul. Good excuse to get out of the hot weather today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there and here, it's, as we speak, 93 degrees in Sioux Falls today. How warm is it out there in West Central Washington?
Yeah. Well, we're on the west side of the mountains. It's the traditional rains most of the time. We tell people that we have two seasons. We got the rainy season. We got the last weekend in August. Well, right now it's sunny. It's getting hotter. It's probably 75, 80 degrees outside right now, and we have a heat wave warning for the weekend through and including Monday, which for us is anything above 90.
Aha. Okay.
It's going to be a beautiful day to shoot, though.
There you go. I am hooking up social media as we speak. I want to remind everybody, if you have an opinion about what we're talking about, comment on either the Facebook or YouTube video. Or the fastest way to get your comment in is if you have a Twitter account, tweet with the hashtag Bullet Podcast. That'll get straight through. We'll get your comments on the air. Tom, a couple of topics I wanted to talk about today, but first one I want to get, before we get to the training topics, what I want to do, I'd be really remiss if we didn't talk about a couple of things Washington related. First of all, the Supreme Court decision came down yesterday, and Washington shall issue in their permits, but the Supreme Court yesterday killed the May issue of New York, California, New Jersey, Hawaii, some other states. Big decision that came out down yesterday, including there may be some carryover. There's strong language in that decision about firearms in common use, and that's where you've got a law coming in next week, July 1st. You've got a 10-round magazine limitation coming into law. I think the decision we just got from the Supreme Court and the lawsuit that my bosses filed there in Washington State, I think that Supreme Court decision we just got yesterday is going to help out there. What do you think, Matt?
I can't help but think you're right. The in common use thing is what a lot of the anti-gunners don't understand. In my opinion, they believe the AR-15 is a recent military invention where you and I suspect most of the people listening, understand that it was designed as a civilian weapon using modern technology in the late 1950s. So do the math. Things have been around a while. It's not a gun problem. One of the things that always strikes me, and that I get an interesting response from people when we're having a civil discussion in which we disagree, believe it or not, those can be had. The thing that when I was a police officer, my AR-15 was my assault rifle when it was in my safe because I personally owned it. When I went on duty with my uniform and badge in the car and chased the bad guys, it was a patrol rifle with a 30-round magazine, a bunch of them, because that's what law enforcement, through their experience, have decided is an appropriate weapon to combat criminals and to protect citizens. Well, when we choose to protect ourselves, we're protecting ourselves from that same criminal population. If the professionals, from their experience, decided this is a great weapon to do it, why is it suddenly wrong and it's in somebody else's hands? How many AR-15s are out there? How many multiple round magazines are out there? The Glock 17 or the Glock 19?
The Glock 23.
Overwhelmingly the choice of law enforcement, and they're going for the larger capacity for the same reason. They're in common use. If 95% of the cars in this country were painted red, would you expect that most drunk driving arrests would be of people driving red cars, and would you therefore outlaw red cars? Is it not reasonable to understand that the most common rifle sold is going to be used the most commonly because it's the most easily found and the most available. It's simple logic to me. I get frustrated when I talk about this because people want to emotionalize it, and then that allows them to act badly if they want to berate or belittle. I got called an amosexual twice this week. And that's not a purpose, and that's pretty ill-mannered. I don't think our people tend to be that ill-mannered, but that emotion allows you then to treat that other group as the bad guys. Then it's okay to be ill-mannered. And if you have to create a straw man in order to be ill-mannered, they'll create a straw man.
Sure. George says, how many Glocks come with a 10-round or less magazine? Top of my head, I can think of one. That's the Glock Model 43 and 4302. The 43 and the 43X.
I think even the Glock 30, which is the little, I'll get a dummy gun of a Glock 30 here, which is why I'm thinking about it. I still think this is, my gosh, it's certainly over 10.
Okay.
The most deadly school shooting in U.S. history was the Virginia Tech shooting.
Uh-huh.
The shooter, and I won't name the shooter, as is our habit, the shooter used a Glock, was it 17 or Glock 19? Commonly available pistol.
Right.
Not a rifle, and he had a bag full of preloaded magazines, and he simply reloaded.
Yeah.
Ed Monk of Last Resort, who's a specialist in mass shootings and school shootings and church shootings, wonderful class if you can take it from him, will tell us that historically these bad guys are found with backpacks full of preloaded magazines. They take, hundreds of rounds, and you and I and most of our listeners know how fast you can reload a pistol or a rifle with very little practice. 3 seconds, 4 if you're clumsy.
Yeah. Well, and
they don't. The other side doesn't understand this. We need to educate them.
I'm going to follow your lead, and I've been doing this for years as well. I will not name the killer, but the killer that was at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas School in Florida chose a 10-round AR mag. Why? Because it's more concealable. He had a lot of them in a backpack, but he chose the 10-round AR mag simply because it's shorter and more concealable, and he could fit a lot of them in the backpack. So
that's a really good point. One of my own ARs, when I have to carry really concealed, when I travel, I'll carry a rifle, but I don't carry it in a rifle bag because that looks a little spooky when you're going through the lobby, or if we stay in a casino and go through the lobby. I don't want to attract that attention and scare folks. So it's in something else. But I can't put a 30-round magazine in it with the empty chamber. I've got to use a shorter one. So, yeah, if we start playing the more concealable card with them, they'll probably freak out and want to make it bigger. I don't know. But that's that ignorance. They have a chosen end, and then they will change whatever they need to say, make the straw man, make the bad argument. Lots and lots of bad arguments to get to that end.
So let's kind of shift gears here and move to the training portion of Training Friday.
Moving on.
I want to talk a little bit before we get into the training, and this is still training, but let's talk a little bit about open versus concealed carry. I want to start with when I started the Politics and Guns podcast, now a little over 10 years ago. I was an open carry kind of guy. I had it in my head that we needed to normalize to the general public that people who carried guns were normal people like them. So if they seen a clean cut, well-dressed, freshly showered person openly carrying a gun, it would normalize gun ownership to the general public. Then there was an event that very, 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 very much changed my opinion, and now I'm very much a concealed carry guy. I do not open carry anymore.
I'll tell you this. This is my personal opinion. We tend to teach it at Firearms Academy of Seattle, and I'll submit this to you. I support the right to open carry. I do not support the practice. There's a bunch of reasons we can get into for that. Most of which is I don't want to attract the attention.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people to know I'm armed. They have no need to know I'm armed, and their reactions may vary. Now, and it depends on where you are. Here in Lewis County, Washington, it's not super uncommon to see someone carry open, and I have yet to see anybody else react badly to it. You go down to Gunsight Academy in Paulden, Arizona, a much more gun-friendly state. You go into the local Fred Meyer's, Kroger, Safeway, whatever. People are carrying open frequently, and nobody gives a rip.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Try that in downtown Portland or Seattle. So I find
where
that
it's
there
theoretically legal.
Well, just because you can do a thing, you don't necessarily have to do the thing.
Right.
It depends on what the people around you see. I'm used to seeing people carry guns. I'm used to being a cop, carried open as a cop. I'm used to seeing people on the range. I'm used to seeing good people with guns, so it's not unusual to me. But consider, if you're only experiencing, say, a city environment, the only people that had guns because they didn't have anywhere to shoot them in the city are the cops and the bad guys, and you're obviously not a cop. You must be a bad guy. Was talking to a nice lady who legally immigrated from Brazil, and she was telling me that the gun ownership when she was growing up was a rare and unusual thing because the only people that had guns were the cops, and most of them were corrupt, and the bad guys. So that was basically a big flag that says, I'm a bad guy because I choose to carry a gun. Here it's, you have a gun, you must either be paranoid and you're not safe to be around because you must think you need it, or you intend to use it for nefarious purposes. If you don't have that experience with firearms, that is your default, and that's something that we combat frequently. But yeah. I don't want the attention.
Pete over at Gun Website says, I live in Arizona, and he was making your point. Open carry is common and ignored. One issue I have with open carry, I know some people personally that have done this. They call themselves Second Amendment or First Amendment auditors, and they carry a camera around with them. They open carry, and they open carry in places where, again, like downtown Seattle, downtown Portland, where it's legal to do so, and they've got the law printed out with them. They know that it's legal to do so, but they know they're going to get a police response when they do because it's very uncommon. And then they're a bit of a jerk, I'll use that term, when the police come around. Today. Well, it is the Polite Society podcast channel. So those people, and they're doing it for one reason, to get views on YouTube or Tumblr or wherever they're putting their videos up. And it works. There are people that watch those videos.
I've seen them. It's an ego thing. Why are you carrying? What's your purpose for the whole thing? Is if it's your ego, I have a gun, I'm going to carry it, and you can't do anything about it. That's a rather junior high, I guess I'm dating myself, a rather middle school point of view.
Mm-hmm.
What your purpose is to show that you can't do anything about it. I don't find that particularly mature. You talked about police having to respond. When I was working as a reserve officer in a jurisdiction south of here, our policy, we would go over this before we go out on shift. Our policy was that if there was a report of someone with a gun, even if they were just standing around acting in a very non-threatening way, we had to respond.
Right.
But if we didn't have an articulable reason to go any further, it's like, excuse me, Sir Huss, do you have a firearm? And the gentleman or the lady could say, go pound sand. Have a nice day. As long as they were in a place where they were legally permitted to have a firearm. We had one that was in the parking lot of our local Hall of Justice, where the courts are. It's legal in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can I help you, sir? No, I'm fine. Not acting in a threatening manner. Hadn't had a negative encounter with any citizen. Somebody just reported, oh, there's a guy standing there with a gun. Nothing more. Have a nice day. Thank you. Have a good time. Can I get your name, sir? Nope, you don't need my name. We didn't have articulable reason in that case and other instances to carry it any further. We can ask, but now I would say be nice to the officer, and because they've got to respond, it's just their job.
No matter the situation, always be nice to the officer.
Yeah, you're not. We've talked about this before. You're not going to win an argument on the street. You'll win it in court, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't want that attention. If it's for my ego, that's a problem I need to work on. That's a self-improvement issue that I need to talk about and meditate about and work my way through. Are you carrying because you're going to educate people? I've never seen that work. All those videos?
No. You get a couple comments in here real fast.
This is a hot button issue because people tend to be very extreme one way or the other. I'm curious to see what we get.
Well, but you may be surprised here. There's some kind of middle of the road comments that there's intelligent discussion to be had. Let's put it that way. Gun Websites, Pete again says, we can normalize the carry of firearms, in my opinion. Where are the instances of open carry being targeted? I suggest the open carry reduces violent crime in general, and that is difficult to analyze.
That's a thoughtful way to put that. Might be, and I don't know how you'd analyze it either. It would be, I could think of it theoretically, but in practice. If you choose to open carry, and again, personally, I absolutely support the right. I just don't support the practice for the reasons we've talked about and others. One of them is that unless you are open carrying in a secure holster, one that you've got to do the manual Macarena to get the gun out, basically a cop security holster, and still those are not foolproof, but they slow things down. You are offering your firearm to anybody that gets within arm's reach.
Yeah.
I'm the lead handgun retention trainer at FAS by virtue of an adult lifetime of martial arts and handgun retention training. And with other instructors, we've actually experimented with it when I know that my partner is going to try to grab my gun when I turn my back and I'm going to try to stop him. It's an anticipated response. The OODA loop is all the way partially completed. All I have to do is I've decided how I'm going to counter it because I know where it's going to come from because we agreed on it. I still can't stop him. Reaction time's not fast enough if it's in a regular range or a normal holster. With a retention holster, sometimes if I'm working out on the property and I'm carrying a gun that fits a retention holster, I will preferentially carry open in a retention holster so it doesn't fall out. But it also would make it harder for somebody to grab. Since concealment is not an issue if you're carrying open by definition, you can handle the bigger, bulkier concealment type holsters, a level 2 or a level 3 holster. I recommend looking into those if you insist on doing that. Get a security holster and practice with it.
And then George says it would be pretty darn cool if every single law-abiding adult would open carry, even for just one day. I will say this: I do still have my open carry holster. It is a security holster. I, when working around the house, do still, if I'm doing yard work, I will still wear it. During the winter time, when I've got multiple layers, I will still occasionally wear it, but it's concealed. It's under my coat and stuff. I do not wear it in the summer out in public simply because it's hard to conceal. It's a Glock Model 23. It's a big full-size gun in a big holster outside the waistband. In the summertime, that's really hard to conceal. It can be done, but you're at the very bare minimum, you're going to print.
There are ways. Right now, I'm dressed for the range, and I'm carrying. Well, camera can see it. I'm not going to take it out of the holster because I have no reason to. But I'm carrying Smith & Wesson M&P 4¼ inch barrel in a range holster outside the waistband, not particularly concealable. However, when we go to work tomorrow, Diane and I are working a class. We'll have time to go out to breakfast prior to that. I'm going to dress in these exact same clothes. I'm going to put a cover garment over it.
Yeah.
It's a concealment garment. We've talked about this, and yeah, exactly. That will fit in. It's a Columbia fleecy vest. The temperature will be a little cooler in the morning, so it won't look out of place. If, however, I need to do something a bit more concealable, there it is. This is a dummy gun. I may go over my preferred is a SIG 365. I can carry it in a good quality, custom made, made for this particular gun waistband holster. I can carry an appendix if I choose to. I like to have my waistband free. If I want to look nice, or if I'm like in business casual, I can still get a holster. This is a Recluse pocket holster. This one's particularly made for cargo pants because I like cargo pants. This keeps it stable in the pocket so it doesn't shift around, so I'm not trying to grab a gun that's in this orientation. You can get them smaller for a regular pocket. Protects the trigger guard. Hides wonderfully. Carried this kind of rig for years when I worked in a non-permissive environment. Kept it safe, but it's possible to hide stuff. When I carry that 365 in my Leatherman pouch from my actual Leatherman, fits on my belt.
Sure.
Fine.
Absolutely.
Well, if I have to hide it in the open, but summertime gets interesting, and now with this weather we're having here in Western Washington, I'm going to have to look at stuff. Cargo pants help. In the waistband stuff helps. Cover garments help. When I want to play the part, I've got the tattoos. I've got the shaved head. I've got the beard. I just put a scowl on my face. Put on a Harley T-shirt. Put on a leather vest. Got my waistline covered.
There you go.
So you have to have a couple different options, but carrying concealed is a wonderful thing. So if you've ruled out ego, you really don't think it's to show how cool you are, and you seriously want to educate the public, whatever that may mean. The other thing is you want to make sure you don't attract attention for bad guys. Have you ever, Paul, been in a training scenario or role play that's got a little bit of freedom to how it branches out, where you're there as a concealed carrier and the scenario goes south? And as soon as you draw your gun in that scenario, things go bad real fast. I have, and I want to be able to pick my time. If somebody's doing, say an armed robbery or an entry, they're going to enter the room with their dummy gun and muzzle everybody in the room and intimidate and control with power. Overwhelming. Probably not a good time to respond. It's hard to outdraw a drawn gun. But if I can bide my time a little bit, and we've seen this happen historically, you see it on videos all over YouTube, let the guy think that he's won. He doesn't suspect that I'm carrying. Maybe I've got a grandpa T-shirt on. Maybe I want to look my gray man. I want to look absolutely harmless. I may act the fact, please don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. I'll give you what I want. And if I get that opening. So There's a couple reasons against open carry, and there's some for. I would hope that if you decide to do one or the other or both, understand the circumstances and the advantages and the disadvantages. Get a decent holster, either for concealment or a retention holster for if you're going to carry open and they can't get it out. There are, I don't want to name brand names, but there are certain commercially available Kydex plastic holsters that have a little button that you actuate with your trigger finger as you draw the gun. I highly advised against those. We disallow them at FAS. A number of schools disallow them because
I SERPA don't like those. I'm sorry. I SERPA. I do not like those.
And by the way, and another reason I bring it up is those are not that hard to break. We destroy plastic holsters fairly regularly on purpose in our handgun retention classes, even the ones with a retention device. The stress points are fairly easy to figure out on any Kydex design or Kydex leather hybrid. Leather ones are a little better. They'll stretch, and if you use it for practice regularly, it'll destroy the holster over time.
Yeah.
You don't want to get into a wrestling match with a gun.
And one more thing while we're on the open carry, and I think this is going to take. We're going to. We had a backup topic, but I don't think we're going to get to it.
No.
I one more. If you're open carrying as opposed to now, I'm going to say you need to be aware when you're in public if you're carrying. Period. But if you choose to open carry, I want you to dial that up to 11, because anybody out there, including an anti-gunner, can see that you are carrying. There are you see it on social media every once in a while. If I see somebody open carrying a gun, I'm going to grab it out of their holster and I'm going to shoot them with it. You see that every once in a while. Do you not believe that there are people that would actually do that?
It's not entirely unknown. I've read some cases. I haven't heard of any personally. I don't know about the shooting you with it, but to grab it out of your holster,
yeah,
or drunk Uncle Jimmy at the 4th of July party, it's really hard to grab a gun out of somebody's holster if there's a garment in the way. So the garment not only provides some visual protection, it provides some manual physical protection to that.
Right.
There's all kinds of things, standing in a bladed posture like a cop does in what's called interview position to tilt the gun away. Don't let anybody in close to you unless you know them personally within about a step and a half. All kinds of stuff, but open carry invites problems. I'm not telling you not to, but I'm telling you to think ahead with those problems, because bad guys are bad guys and stupid people are dangerous.
Yeah. And now I want to go back to before Texas got open carry. There were, and I still advocate for this, if there is an open carry protest, if there's a freedom protest where there's a scheduled thing happening where people are going to be showing up en masse, everybody's going to be open carrying. By all means, do it. And then as we open this topic, make sure you're freshly showered, make sure you're sharply dressed, make sure you're, at least the parts that are supposed to be shaven are shaven. Ladies, you don't have to worry about that, I hope. But look nice, be presentable in the public when you're going to do this, because not only do you are representing us, but you are putting a laser focus, because guess what, folks? People are not, they're looking, when they notice that firearm, you are, hello, they're gonna really notice you.
You may be the first person outside of a cop they've seen with a firearm, and they will, you're right, Paul, they will take you as a representative of us. Mind your language.
Yeah.
Mind your attitude. Mind your manners. Fortunately, in my experience, gun folks tend to have a leg up on that anyway. But remember, even if you didn't volunteer initially to be representing the gun culture, you are to them, you are the gun culture. They've created a straw man, the typical older, white, overweight male that drinks beer, that wears a wife beater, with camo or red plaid, unfortunately speaks with a southern accent sometimes. That's the straw man if you look at the political cartoons in any newspaper in America.
Yeah.
Those folks are part of our culture, but they're not the only part of our culture. Some of the finest people I met, and pretty much all of my dearest friends, the ones that I trust with anything I own, money, possessions, on a handshake and a bring it back when you're done, because I know from experience things are going to be just fine, because they wouldn't betray me. The people that I trust the most tend to be gun folks. Military, cops, serious shooters, self-defense instructors. Okay, not 100%, but a darn sight more than the general population.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are down to the last minute, and as we burned up our entire time just on open carry. So, is there anything happening?
The Second Amendment Foundation magazines.
Yes, Aero Precision is offering those.
With a donation to the Second Amendment Foundation for their legal expenses.
Yes.
Saving our lives.
I used to have, and I must have deleted it, but I used to have a tab up here where I could just pop it up and show you the website. And that was several shows ago. I must have recycled it. So, but yeah, go to aeroprecision.com. Yeah. and get a 30-round magazine for you, and you get a couple bucks for SAF. And that lawsuit is going forward. Especially after yesterday's success, I very much expect that lawsuit to succeed, but these lawsuits are not free. So
until that lawsuit goes through or there is an injunction, those are the rules that we have to play by if we're going to be good guys.
Yeah.
So I got mine. I've got enough to cover family if they were short-sighted. Fortunately, my family doesn't tend to be short-sighted.
There you go. All right. Anything at the Firearms Academy of Seattle coming up that you want to plug, bud?
We have Misad Ayub coming in July for both his Gold Standard Mag 40 class and his Mag 80 class, which he only offers in this area in the Northwest every few years. If you have not taken the Misad Ayub Mag 40 class, you will get a world-class education, 20 hours on the legal issues in general and maybe specific to the states, and 20 hours of excellent firearms instruction finalized by shooting a police stock qualification. Here at FAS, we have a couple of openings still. Last I talked to the director. Firearmsacademy.com. Phone number is there on the website, contact information. Bill McCormick, our owner and director, is doing a great job of working on and keeping these classes coming up to FAS. If you're too far from FAS, folks, there are other good trainers in your area. Find them.
I think in 2 weeks, that's going to be our topic. That was our backup topic for today if we ran short on time, if we burned this topic up quickly. I think our next topic is going to be, how do you find a good trainer, and how do you know they're a good trainer before you take their class?
That would be a very useful thing. God, I can start talking about it now just out of reminiscing how I found one. But let's see.
Yeah, let's save that for 2 weeks from now. Otherwise, we're going to be at the top of the hour and still talking. All right, folks, that is going to do it for today. Please do join us tomorrow, noon Central Time. That show, for the weekend show, we're going to review all of the news of the week. And joining me, Tony Simon of the Second is for Everyone, Charlie Cook, Riding Shotgun with Charlie, and Beth Alcazar. And we're going to have a video that gets premiered on that one. So join us for that. You're going to love seeing that one. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. We will see you tomorrow, noon Central Time. Thanks for watching.